Welcome to Top 5, a show where we count things down from number 5 all the way to number 1. And this week, you know what? It's time to just take some time off. It's time to get away. Well, come on. Got to be dreaming there, because there's no way that we would take a vacation from you. This week's Top 5 dream vacations. Listener submission, as always. And if you've got a idea for a top 5, you can send them to podcast@majorspoilers.com. This week, Rodrigo is here. Hey, Rodrigo.
Hey.
And Matthew is here.
Hello.
All right. Let us, who wants to start off with their top 5 dream vacation spot number 5?
Matthew.
I hear Rodrigo speaking. Rodrigo would like to go first.
Voluntold.
All right. My number 5 dream vacation.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm not trying to make it dramatic. I'm recovering from a cold, so I just hacked some phlegms onto the microphone.
Oh my goodness.
That's okay. I muted it. Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah, but we called it out, so it's same. So my number 5 is a place that I've been hearing a lot about, but I haven't gotten a chance to go, and it is like 45 minutes away from my house. Ooh. And that is the Seattle Aquarium. Oh, I hear that place is awesome.
Yeah, I hear it's pretty nice, but I haven't gotten a chance to go. I think they've got like tide pools, and it's like downtown, and they got like sea otters and stuff around.
I heard they filmed Finding Dory there.
Yep. There's Finding Dory, I think, is based on the Monterey Bay Aquarium, I want to say.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, they say that Vancouver is Kansas, so they shot it at that aquarium. I mean, it might have said it was Monterey Bay.
It might have been Seattle. I'm not sure. But
isn't that animated?
I know Sigourney Weaver doesn't live there, unfortunately.
Yeah. What?
So yeah, it's mostly just something I've been meaning to do, and just kind of never got the chance. So kind of the premise for this is like, if you didn't have to take time off of work, and
if work and money didn't matter.
Yeah, if that didn't matter, what would you do? And it's like, starting off the bat is like, I would like to go to do that thing that I've been meaning to do.
There you go. Sounds like a good one. Matthew, what do you have for your number 5?
I may have taken this a little bit more and or less literally, depending on how you interpret the word dream.
I mean, we're like 500 episodes into this, Matthew, so.
Yeah, people know. But, when I think dream vacation, I'm not thinking just the constraints of money, but in some ways the constraints of time, space, and dimension. So my number 5, actually the widget suggested Krypton. And I'm like, well, I think another planet is a great idea, sweetie, but that one exploded. So maybe not Krypton per se, but my number 5 is another planet. And I think, honestly, realistically, realistic is not the right word, but something that means realistic in a non-realistic capacity. I'd like to go to another planet where the abilities given to a Kryptonian under Earth conditions are given to me there, like that time that Batman went to Planet X and met the Batman of Planet X, and it turns out that on that planet, Batman was Superman. I'd like to kind of do that. So we can call it Planet X, or we can just call it another world. But I think it would be fascinating to visit another planet, another civilization, and, not die or be in debt to Elon Musk, the only guy who actually has working rockets anymore. But
wait till Space Force launches, and then you'll be part of that man's army.
No, I read Space Force back in the 80s. The Lopez art was really great, but the rest of it was kind of pedestrian. Force. That's same difference. 6 of 1. But my number 5, another planet. Ooh.
All right. My number 5 brings us back down to Earth. Something that's not too far off, realm of possibility. and that is a mountain cabin retreat to just write for like 3 weeks straight. I know that doesn't sound like a vacation, but there's something about being in a cabin that is somewhat isolated, but still has the connectivity that is needed. But where I'm not going to be interrupted, I can turn off my cell phone and I can just work, and get things done and just be away. I call that a productivity vacation.
That whole Jack London thing, like.
Well, I don't know. Did Jack London go to a mountain cabin retreat to write, or did he just talk about his experiences with his trying to get the medicine to the little girl?
Dude, I don't know. I've never actually read Jack London.
Oh,
I'm just thinking Call of the Wild,
yeah,
where you can go and be in a cabin somewhere with really great Wi-Fi.
Yeah, which isn't
Call of the Wild about a dog.
Yeah, about a dog named Buck. He had really great
cabin,
right in the wild, and had Wi-Fi.
Yes, but mountain cabin retreat, not out of the realm of possibilities. There are many people that have small cabins up in the Colorado mountains that you can just go hang out at. And from what I understand, the prices are fairly reasonable, especially depending on the time of year you go. Now, obviously, in the wintertime, that's when the rates are way high because that's when people want to go ski. And in the heat of summer, it's really expensive because people want to get up there away from the heat. But, like spring, fall, that might be a good time watching the thunderstorms roll in across the mountains and then just fire up that laptop and just start writing and stay up all day and do that. Maybe go outside and write where it's nice and cool. Maybe go dangle my feet in the stream a little bit. Get the little fishies biting my feet.
That's how the kangaroo fish will get you, man. You got to be careful about that.
And then I'm going to go and climb into my little cabin bunk, take a nice long nap for the evening, and get up and do it all again for like 2 or 3 weeks. I think that'd be fun. So that is my number 5. Rodrigo, what do you have for number 4?
My number 4 stems largely from really the difficulty of this question because I don't really want to go anywhere. So when they're like, come up with 5 places that you want to go to, I was like, well, I can kind of come up with 4. So my number 4 is Japan.
I mean, that's a good place to go for a vacation.
Yeah, I mean, Japan is a great country. It's a great tourist destination.
Mm-hmm.
You
go. A lot of things to do. A lot of things to see.
You see Mount Fuji. You go to Tokyo. You go to Osaka.
Mm-hmm.
You sample the local cuisine. But it's like I kind of feel like there's lots of countries. I could, especially in Asia. Where I have no real connection to any of those cultures. Lots of stuff to do in Japan, lots of stuff to do in China, but Japan is where Pokemon come from, so that's cool. So yeah, my number 4 is Japan, because why not?
You know why I'm laughing?
Why?
Because my number 2 is Japan with a question mark. Because I had the same exact response when I was talking with the people in my living room about how to put this whole thing together and what are my dream vacation spots. And that came up, but then there was also the discussion of how I don't really want to, walk places or really go anywhere or do much of nothing. And so it's Japan with a big question mark because it seems like something neat, even though realistically, I know that I would be just an enormous American person who would get all the wrong kind of attention in any other country, probably, but in Japan especially. But I think it would be interesting to go and kind of see what the culture is like, because we get such an idea of what we think that culture is like. And in a lot of ways, I think we may get more kind of ideas about Japan than any other country, with the exception of maybe Ireland, because you see it's like, hey, it's Ireland. There's an island and everybody there wears green clovers and a cute hat and drinks a lot. But I really wasn't sure about going to another country, but it's definitely something that I'd kind of like, I guess, maybe.
Money's no object,
Exactly.
Yeah, there you go.
Money,
I mean,
time, space, dimension. I can buy 2 seats on the plane.
And in real life, sometimes if you watch those ticket prices, you can get round trip tickets fairly inexpensively. So you never know, Matthew. You never know, Rodrigo.
Have to go somewhere. I'd have to do something.
You might want to get out and see the world. Nothing wrong with going places.
I have to do things.
My number 4 is something that I've done many a times. But this time I would like to do it with my family, and that is to take them to Disney World in Orlando, not Disneyland. I've been to Disneyland more than enough times, too. The reason why I say this is a dream vacation is because not because it's out of the realm of possibility, but because in this dream location or vacation, it would not cost me $10,000 to take my family of 4 to stay at the resort for a week, all access passes to all of the parks, food, etc. And also in this dream vacation, I wouldn't be standing in line for 2+ hours to go ride a 2-minute roller coaster. And really,
sorry,
to be honest, I worked at Disney World back in the was it late 80s, early 90s? I guess it was 90, 91. And I loved it. I thought it was great. Got to go do all the rides, go see all the parks and the exhibits and do things multiple times. And it was fun. I always enjoyed it. The one thing that is a horrible thing, as I noticed as the years progressed, because Disney was coming out of its economic slump at this time, is that the lines got longer and longer and longer to the point when my wife and I went to Disneyland, many years ago, before we had kids, obviously.
I was going to say, you might want to clarify that all those times that you've been to Disneyland and Disney World was before your kids were born. You don't just like keep going. You're like, children, going to Disneyland.
So that is actually another problem, right? I mean, when do you spend $10,000 to take your family? When your family is old enough to A, appreciate it, and B, they're tall enough to get on the rides.
Yeah.
And, if your kid isn't old enough or tall enough, one person's going to be standing around holding all the baggage with the kid that can't go on the ride, and then you're just wasting money for that. So I would like to take them, but man, Disney World, and I know that many of our listeners go to Disney World and Disneyland on a regular basis. But the last time we went to Disneyland, we stood in line for over an hour for one stupid ride. And you do that times 3 or 4, and your day is done. And so you're going to have to stay longer, and you're going to have to stay different days. And of course, there's tips on getting on certain rides and not rides and what attractions to avoid. But man, just remove all of that headache and hassle. And I know Disney wants to be the most wonderful place on earth or the happiest place on earth, but my patience is super thin. And if I have to spend 20 minutes on the line listening to people screaming and gabbing, that's it. We're leaving. Get in the car. We're going home. So a dream vacation with me would be to actually take the family to Disney World and have an enjoyable experience. But I know that's never going to happen.
Aww.
Yeah. Matthew, did we ever do your number 4? I know you talked about your number 2, but I don't think we did your number 4. So what do you have for number 4?
Let's do it now.
All right.
My number 4 is actually another one because, dream means dream. And sometimes when you're dreaming, you say to yourself, what would be great is if I could, go down Main Street to the 9 Planets ice cream parlor and sit with my pals from all different planets and try different ice creams and just sort of hang out in Weisinger Plaza, maybe borrow a couple 3 flight rings. I might need more than one. It's hard to say. I'll have to have 2 seats on the airplane, so I might need 2 flight rings. But I think it would be interesting if I could go anywhere, dream vacation, to go to the imaginary 30th century world of the Legion of Superheroes. And the main reason for that is because it's one of those old school futures where everything is happy and shiny and updated and it's all perfect and everybody gets along and you don't have stupid people hollering at you all day long and you don't have just the endless vats of gouts of stupidity that fly at you from day to day. You don't necessarily have to go through a world where, there's a Keebler elf on TV for some reason and you don't even know why. So it might be interesting to go and just hang out in a world where the biggest problem is going to be the time trapper is always 30 days in the future and he can't get to us and we can't get to him. But my big dumb friends are going to headbutt the Iron Curtain of Time anyway. That's a reference to our other podcast, the Legion Clubhouse. You should probably check it out. But for me, my number 4, the 30th century world of the Legion of Superheroes, because we're talking dream vacations. I'm going to get a time bubble. I'm going to get, some nice luggage, maybe flying luggage because it's the 30th century. Who can say?
Dream Girl.
Yeah, visit Dream Girl, hang out with Starboy. Maybe drink some super plastic fluid with Chuck Tane. Bounce around.
Come on, Matthew. You're not that stupid.
Well, if we know that it's super plastic fluid, I might do it on purpose because I may not be stupid, but I am easily swayed by peer pressure.
Peer pressure from Bouncing Boy?
From Bouncing Boy, from Chuck Tane.
Yeah.
You'd be like, you won't be cool if you don't do it.
Okay.
Yeah. His dad has a Camaro, Stephen.
I think we are up to our 3 slots.
Yeah.
What do you have for number 3?
My number 3 is Spain with
Spain.
with a period after it. No question mark on this one.
Okay.
Yeah, my parents took a trip I have actually taken a few trips to Spain in the past few years, and the last couple, they were like, "Hey, you should come with us." And I was like, "I don't have any money." Or time off work, Right. So I would have liked to have gone, but it really just wasn't possible. But yeah, I mean, I have a pretty direct, relative line to Spain. I actually have relatives that live in Spain. So there are places where that I could go, where like my great grandfather was from, that I actually know, places where like my grandma had been. So it's actually like something where I could be like, this is what that stuff looked like that they talked about sometimes.
Right.
So yeah, for me, it would be nice to get a chance to go to Spain.
You have to learn the language, though.
I would, yes.
Yeah.
Matthew, what do you have for number 3?
I'm sorry, I just cracked myself up with that. Because Rodrigo speaks the language.
I do.
My number 3, once again, falls into the realm of the entirely fictional. And I think that's really sort of okay. Because when I say, I asked, where could we go? What do I do when I'm on vacation? Everybody in the house was like, we've never seen you on vacation. Then the closest thing you've ever done to vacation was that time that you went to Nerdtacular with Stephen and the boys, and we didn't get to see any of that. And I felt, guilty for about a minute and a half. And then I said to myself, what would be great is if I could take a vacation at the Federation Space Station, Deep Space Nine. You could hang out, go in the holosuites, although I'm a little worried because the holosuites seem to be able to you can hear what's going on inside the holosuite from outside. And I don't know that I want people to know what may or may not happen in the holosuite. I feel like what happens in the holosuite stays in the holosuite. You can go to Quarks and have some disgusting food or some disgusting drinks. You can hang out maybe with Kira Nerys, get some tips on that cool hair. Play baseball with Captain Sisko. Really, it is kind of the best of all those Star Trek worlds in that the Enterprise is constantly going to scary places and scary things, and I just know my shirt would be red, and I would, die or get turned into a tetrahedron and crushed by a Sargon of Akkad or some crap. But more importantly, if you go to Deep Space Nine, you can just sort of hang out. You could have a conversation with Morn. I hear that guy talks all the time. That would be really cool to me. And, it would also fulfill that kind of future thing without actually having the whole trouble of going to the future and doing stuff. I mean, it's one place. You're just sort of there. If you want to hang out in your room on the promenade, you certainly can, because I probably will. I don't necessarily, want to go out, see all the weird purple people. And if you look out the window, there's that cool wormhole with aliens are coming through all the time. Yeah, it'd be great. Deep Space Nine. My number three? Three. My number three. Three
All
times
right.
9 is 27, so technically it's number 27 as well.
Okay. My number three, it's one that I'd probably wait, not this next set of World Cups, but the one that's the North American World Cup that's going to happen in Canada and the United States and Mexico. I would like to take my family to every single game of the World Cup. Now, I know some people aren't really thrilled about sports, and there are, especially here in the United States, even fewer people who are interested in soccer, football, and the rest of the world, ladies and gentlemen. But I know my son and my family enjoy the heck out of soccer, and my oldest is just over the moon that he is home this summer because he goes and does his soccer camps and soccer trainings and one-on-one trainings and everything in the morning, and then as soon as he's done, he's watching 3 games a day of World Cup soccer. And he knows, I don't know how he knows it, but he knows all the players. He knows all the odds of which team is going to win and why they should win. He gets super upset and agitated when the team that he thinks should win loses.
Mm-hmm.
But man, he is into World Cup. And I enjoy World Cup too. I enjoy sitting down when I have the chance to sit and watch a game for an hour and a half. So much fun. And I know with this upcoming North American World Cup, that would be a dream vacation for us to just spend the entire summer. Obviously, you can't go to every game because it's impossible to go from one city location to another city location in just an hour or two. And maybe you can do it with a super fast jet, but to be able to go to a majority of the World Cup games, especially when it gets down to the finals, would be a dream. And again, money, time off work, not a problem. World Cup is my number 3. Real quick, we enjoy Top 5. We know you enjoy Top 5 because that's why you listen every week. We want this show to continue, and we want you to be part of it. Here's how you can be a part of Top 5 and ensure that this show continues week after week, month after month, year after year, far into the future. Head over to patreon.com/major spoilers. Kick in a few bucks, a couple of bucks a show. That's all we ask. And then you can just sit back, relax, have access to a bunch of other extras over there at patreon.com/major spoilers. And you can listen to this show and all the shows that we produce, the Major Spoilers Podcast Network. We want to thank everyone who is a patron. If you're not, head over to patreon.com/major spoilers today and just check out and see what we got, see what our future goals are, and how you can help. Patreon.com/major spoilers. Thank you in advance. We are now into our top 2s. Our top 2 dream vacations. Rodrigo, what do you have for number 2?
My number 2 is a place where I used to live. And recently, well, not that recently, a couple years ago, my brother got married, and that's where he went for his honeymoon. So I got to see a lot of pictures of this place again, and it kind of got me thinking that I would like to visit it at some point. And that is, it's kind of the Mexican peninsula. It's the it's like the state of Yucatan.
Mm-hmm.
Home of great pyramids and also great food and also an enormous crater that killed the dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Although that's underwater.
Yeah. Is that Toltec or Olmec?
That is Mayan.
Ah, okay.
But yeah, as a bonus, here's how you pronounce that crater. Chicxulub.
There you go. Chicxulub.
Mm-hmm. It's a lot of excess.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, my number 2, the Yucatan.
But you have not been down there, right?
I have not been back to Mexico since I moved to the United States.
Okay, I couldn't remember because somebody at Major Spoilers, or a relative, had a wedding there, and they had a horrible time. Was that your brother?
No,
was there
my
like
brother,
a hurricane or something that blew through?
I don't know. It wasn't my brother.
Okay.
My brother got married
somebody
in
at Major
the U.S.
Spoilers.
Yeah, no.
Well, it looks beautiful down there. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
think it would be a good vacation.
Yeah, it's great. It's extremely hot, so maybe I'll go down during the winter. Although that's the wet season, so I don't know.
Mm.
I'd have to figure it out.
When is the best time to visit?
Probably early spring.
Right before it gets really hot.
In the summer, it gets really hot, and also that's when most tourists are going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
It's like tourist season. There's a huge coastline, so it has like really beautiful beaches, which I don't care about. I want to go see ruins mostly, and big holes in the ground full of water and things like that. And the city's nice.
Yeah, no, it sounds great. And I'm starting to see a pattern too, where a lot of us are like, I'd like to go on vacation and not have to deal with people.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I think that's a big plus right there. Not having to deal with people.
That will definitely play into my number one.
Okay, Matthew, what is your number two? Oh, you already talked about that. That was Japan question mark.
Exactly.
All right. My number two is something that I've kind of wanted to do for a long time, and I could probably do it. It's just a matter of making sure everything else was taken care of first. But I love doing time-lapse photography. I love taking my camera out and just sitting and recording a storm rolling in, or lightning, or stars at night, and just putting that together, and just so cool. I would like to do a whole summer tour where it's nothing but photography, B-roll, time-lapse storm tours, where you kind of go with the storm chasers, but you get there early enough so that you can get in a position, and then you can watch these storms rolling in and just do time-lapse photography of that stuff, and then get out before the crazy stuff hits. Now, I know storm chasers aren't into that, but that's what I would do. I'd just be like, okay, position me here. I'll go and take all these pictures. And then when we're done, we'll just move on to the next state, next location. So basically an entire summer of going from Texas to, Montana, and then out to North and South Dakota and parts of Illinois, and all the way back down. That would be, I think, a fun summer. It'd be, intimidating, but just to see the United States, or that section of the United States, and then just see the majesty of these storms rolling in, and doing nighttime lapses of the stars as these storms roll in. I think that would be really, really fun. So my number two dream vacation is going out and doing a time-lapse storm tour. I don't know if such a thing exists, but somebody should put one of those together. We are up to our number one. So, Rodrigo, what do you have for your number one?
All right, my number one vacation, where money and time are are no object, is to stay home. Because there's video games to be played, and nearby places that I keep meaning to go. There's like a taco shop that I haven't been to yet, and it's like things keep happening. I'm like, oh, I should try that out, but I'm gonna go to work in like 3 hours, and it's like, what if I get sick from it? So if I was on vacation, then I could go and eat there. And if I get sick, it doesn't matter. I'm on vacation. And also it doesn't matter because I can go back to my house, which is just right over there. I don't have to stand in line for anything. I don't have to go to the airport and suffer 1,000 indignities at the hands of the TSA. Although I guess if money was no object, I could probably just figure out a way around.
Just do one of those fast passes.
Yeah, fasty passed.
Yeah.
So if money and time and my current record with the TSA were no object, I would do that.
All right.
But yes, my number one is actually what I believe professionals call a staycation.
Staycation. Yeah.
Don't do that. I hate that term.
You love portmanteaus.
I hate that one.
You hate only the ones that you didn't come up with.
That may or may not be true. But I hate that one.
I kind of hate it too, actually. especially
Bundy
because
thing.
it kind of sounds like steak, so I get excited, and then it's
Right.
not.
Well,
Right,
if
and
you were
then-
on your staycation, you could have as much
Yeah,
steak
I
as you
could-
wanted,
yeah,
and then you
yeah,
could
just
be a
have steak.
staycation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Steaky station.
Staycation.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. Matthew, what do you have for your number one?
A steak. No, wait, that's not right. My number one is actually inspired by a scene in the book, but not the movie, Scott Pilgrim, where he's fighting Ramona's third evil ex, who happens to be a vegan, which makes him telekinetic, I guess. And they end up in Honest Ed's, which was a giant store, I guess, sort of a multimedia store experience somewhere in Canada, where they literally had everything that you could ever want to see. And while Honest Ed's is closed, and I don't necessarily want to go there, I do want to go to its equivalent in terms of a bookstore. I want to go to the biggest bookstore in the world, and I want to be there. And I'm not even so angry or misanthropic that I would say no one else can be there, although that would be a plus. I mean, other people could be there. I just don't want to deal with people. I think we're all really in that sort of, we're old and tired and don't want to deal with people. But I remember when I was young, one of the greatest things ever was hanging out in the Mitchell County Library, which was actually a house that someone had converted. So it was a 3-story house. And as you went through the house, the various doors, the rooms, the basements, you go up into the attic and you mess around. These are different parts of the library. And I used to go down into the basement, around behind a staircase, and you could find all the hardcore books about science, which included the hardcore books about the old SEX, which at the age of 12, 13, 14, we're fine. Gotta learn this stuff. I want to read all about that stuff. And for some reason, that's also where they kept the Doonesbury collections. So that's also good. But just being able to go to like this giant bookstore and hang out and read what I want at my own pace and not necessarily have to worry about, who's going to yell at me next or have I finished all the things that I need to finish? Because I'm on a dream vacation. I can do whatever I want. In theory, I wouldn't even have to buy the books. I could just read them. But I guess that would make it the biggest library in the world.
I was going to say, why don't you just go to the biggest library in the world?
Well, because, it's a dream vacation. I want a bookstore. They want them to be new. I don't want like all germs on them. So I suppose since, money is no object and work is not a problem, I'm going to say the world's biggest bookstore, and then I'll buy all these books that I'm reading. Maybe buy 2 copies and give some away to people as I walk,
And do you have an idea of where this bookstore might be located?
Not a clue. I know there's a giant one in Denver.
World's biggest bookstore.
The tattered cover is in Denver, and that's pretty massive.
Let's see. You'd have to go to Toronto, Ontario. The world's biggest bookstore was a bookstore. It's no longer there.
What's it called?
The world's biggest bookstore.
Really? Is it near Honest Ed's?
Probably. Oh, man, here's a pretty one right here. 12 of the biggest bookshops in the world for when you want to lose yourself in literature. This is from Bustle. There's Powell's Bookstore in Portland, Oregon. Mm-hmm. There's the Barnes & Noble in Union Square in New York City.
If I go to Portland, I could maybe go hang out with my friends that live up there.
Cook and Book in Brussels, Belgium.
But I don't speak Belgian.
John K. King Used and Rare Books in Detroit, Michigan.
I've been there.
You've been to that one?
Good?
Mm-hmm.
Number 5, the Waterstone Piccadilly in London, England.
I'd have to learn the language.
The Strand in New York City. That one is a big one. The Bookworm in Beijing, China. Bart's Books in Ojai, California. Somewhere in Buenos Aires, Argentina. The House of Books in St. Petersburg, Russia. Blackwell's in Oxford, the UK, which actually just looks like a Barnes & Noble that I went to when I lived in Atlanta. I think they got the wrong picture on this one.
Stephen, 2 of those words are in English. Yeah, El Ateneo, Grand, Splendid.
Yeah, I got stumbled on the first 2, and I was just like, all right, whatever. Buenos Aires. There's 2 in China. So there's 2 in China, a couple in the UK and England, a couple in the United States. I'm surprised. Well, I guess these are bookstores, not the biggest libraries. What are the world's biggest libraries?
There's one in Alexandria that I think burned down.
Yeah, that one's not around anymore.
Not around anymore. I wonder if that one, what's the one in, is it Ireland? That would be a nice one to go see. The 10 biggest in the world, Library of Congress. Well, there you go, Matthew.
Mm-hmm.
The Library of Congress. They have everything.
Wait, will Congress actually be there?
No, they put them somewhere.
No, they don't read.
Yeah. Children's section is a different part. There's the British Library, the Library and Archives in Canada, New York Public Library, Russian State Library, National Diet Library, 41.88 million books. It was established in Tokyo in 1948.
Wow.
And so there you go, Matthew. There's a lot of places you could go. The National Library in China, that one looks pretty cool.
See, I don't speak Chinese.
Doesn't matter.
But I presume that at least some of their books would also be in Chinese. And my problem is I know what some of those symbols mean, but they mean different things in Chinese from the language that I know them in.
Well, then it should make for fun times.
I'd have to learn to speak Irish.
Times. My number one is a simple getaway vacation for the wife and I. And that is to go to Hawaii and just hang out at a real comfortable little hotel close to the beach and just do nothings all day. Go down to the beach, splash around in the water, stay away from the sharks, lay on the beach, warm up, have some cocktails brought down to us, go have some dinner somewhere, come back to the room, relax, leave the windows open because no one else is around, and let the breeze blow in off the ocean, and then repeat.
That thing they have like a bar in the water where you could go.
Yeah, sure. But just totally relax. Just a total relax away from everything, not have to worry about anything. No picking up the phone every 5 minutes to see what's going on in the world. Checking in with the kids maybe once a day, if that. And then just relaxing. That would be a dream vacation for me. Go to Hawaii and relax for a week. Not even do the touristy things. Just literally just veg out on a beach.
Do nothing.
Do nothing. That would be the dream vacation for me. But as I found out from both my wife and I, we are incapable of doing nothing. We would have to go do something. But there you go. That is my number one dream vacation. Listeners, it is up to you now to head over to majorspoilers.com and in the comments section. Don't go over to Twitter, but in the comments section for this episode, we want you to share your top 5 dream vacations. And the way it was stipulated to us from the person who requested it, money is no object and you don't have to worry about taking time off from work. Your work job is not an issue. What is your dream vacation? Use the comments section. I want to read them. Rodrigo wants to read them. Matthew wants to read them. Heck, everybody wants to read them because everybody loves a list, and we will talk with you soon.
This podcast is copyright 2018 by Major Spoilers Entertainment, LLC.